Hello, my name is Anna. I am 27 years old. I just had a breakup with my boyfriend, so I was feeling a little sad and a little lonely. I was also newly promoted at my job, but it was not a big promotion. My new job title was Junior Most Trip Coordinator. This means I was the newest and lowest level person who planned trips. I am not sure if that is a real promotion, but it was a new job. I worked at a company named Horizon Escapes. It was a small travel company in the city of Denver. The company planned special trips for very rich people. They planned trips like safaris in Africa. The people who went on these trips were so rich. They owned more than one home. They had second homes in countries far away. The names of these countries were very hard for me to say. I had worked at the company for 10 months. My employee ID card still had the word temp on it. This means I was a temporary worker, not a full-time worker yet. But my work was very good. I made spreadsheets to organize all the information for the trips. My spreadsheets were amazing. I used many different colors to keep everything clear. They were so well organized. They were perfect, like a meal at a very fancy restaurant. They were Michelin-level spreadsheets. I knew my work was good, even if my ID card said I was temporary. I hoped my boss would see my good work, and it seemed like he did. Section 1. The Whisper. The story really began on a Wednesday. It was autumn and the weather was beautiful. The sun was shining. The air outside felt golden. It was the kind of day that feels full of new chances. It felt like anything good could happen. I was at my desk inside the office. I was working very hard. I was looking at a big map of a place called Andalusia in Spain. I was trying to plan a special trip. My job was to talk to a man who ran river cruises. I had to make him agree to something. I needed him to agree that a group of 30 Americans could ride bicycles on a famous trail called the Camino. I had to tell him they could do it and not get hurt or die. It was a hard job. While I was very focused on the map and the phone call, I heard my name. It was my boss, Mr. Green. He was not at his desk. He was standing near my friend Sophia's desk. He was leaning on her desk in a casual way. I heard him say my name to Sophia. He said, "Anna's travel plan is perfect." He was talking about the Andalusia trip. My heart felt happy when I heard that. Then, he said something more. He said it very quietly. It was almost a whisper. I could just barely hear him. He said, "She's perfect." When I heard those words, my hand shook. The yellow marker I was holding slipped. It moved across the page of the map and made a long, bright yellow line. It was like a scar on the paper. The marker also made a yellow line on my desk. Perfect. He had called me perfect. The word stayed in my mind. No one had ever called me perfect before. It was a very strong word, and it was said by my boss, the man who paid me money every 2 weeks, the man who signed my paychecks. It felt very important. It felt like it meant something more than just my work. Section 2. The List. After that day, my mind started to spin. I could not stop thinking about what he said. I felt like I was going crazy. I started a document in my head. It was like a secret Google Doc that only I could see. I gave it a title. The title was Evidence My Boss is Smitten. Smitten is a word that means he has a big crush on me. I started to make a list in this secret document. I added every small thing he did that made me think he liked me. Number 1 on my list was about eye contact. We had a meeting every morning. It was called a stand-up meeting. During these meetings, he would look at me. It was not a normal look. He held my eyes for a very long time. It felt longer than he looked at anyone else. It felt personal. Number 2 on my list was about a new project. There was a big trip to plan for Portugal. My coworker, Kate, really wanted this project. She had been working with this client for a long time, since 2019. She wanted to plan their big trip, but Mr. Green did not give the project to Kate. He gave it to me. I was surprised. Kate was surprised too. It felt like he was choosing me over her for a special reason. Number 3 on my list was about coffee. One afternoon, I was very tired. He came to my desk. He had a cup of coffee in his hand. It was an iced vanilla cold brew. That was my favorite kind of coffee. It was exactly how I liked it. I never told him what I liked. He just knew. He gave it to me and said, "I thought you could use the sugar rush." How did he know my favorite drink? It felt like he was paying very close attention to me. Number 4 on my list was a question he asked. He asked me if I was seeing anyone. He asked if I had a boyfriend. My heart jumped when he asked this. It felt like a very personal question. But then he added something quickly. He said, "I'm just asking for scheduling." He said he needed to know if I had plans that would make it hard to work late. But I did not believe that. It felt like an excuse. Number 5 on my list was the big one. It was what he said yesterday, the comment in the meeting, the word perfect, and the whisper to Sophia, "She's perfect." I was thinking about this list all the time. I told my friend Kate about it. She was my best friend at the office. I told her I thought Mr. Green liked me. Kate told me to calm down. She said, "Maybe he is just being very nice. Maybe he's British nice." Mr. Green was from Britain. Kate said that people from Britain are very polite. She said, "They call burnt toast lovely." She meant that he was just using polite words, and they did not mean anything special. But I did not think it was just British nice. His niceness did not explain everything. It did not explain why he always seemed to appear right when I needed help. Sometimes the computer system for booking trips would freeze. It would stop working. And just at that moment, he would be there, standing next to my desk. He would lean in close to look at my computer screen. He leaned so close that I could smell his jacket. It smelled like cedar wood. He was so close I could see the small freckles on his face. And sometimes, when he pointed at the screen, his fingers would touch my fingers by accident. When that happened, I felt a small spark. It felt like electricity. British nice does not cause sparks on your knuckles. I went home and I Googled it. I typed into the search bar, "Signs your boss has a crush on you." The articles I read said that when a boss compliments your work a lot, it might be a secret way of complimenting you as a person. They said it was a code. It was a secret compliment about everything else about me. After reading that, my brain went into overdrive. I decided I had to do something. I went shopping. I bought a new sweater. It was a green cardigan. I chose green because I thought it made my eyes look pretty. It made them look more hazel and less like a boring brown color. I told myself I was just being professional. I told myself it was a strategic choice for my career, but I knew that was a lie. I was trying to get him to notice me more. Section 3. The Build-Up. About 2 weeks went by. I kept adding small things to my mental list. Then something big happened at work. Our company, Horizon Escapes, got a huge new client. He was a whale, which is what we called a very, very important client with a lot of money. This client was a billionaire who had made his money in technology. He wanted to take a very special trip. He wanted a 1-month tour of Spain and Portugal. He wanted it to be off-grid. That meant he wanted it to be very private, with no photographers or news reporters around. The budget for the trip was huge. It was 3 times more than our usual trip budget. Everyone in the office was very excited. Mr. Green had to choose who would plan this massive trip. Everyone wanted it. It was the biggest project of the year, and he chose me. He assigned the whole project to me, but he also said he would work on it with me. It would be just me and him, alone. Just the 2 of us working together on this dream project. My heart felt like it was going to beat out of my chest. This felt like the biggest sign of all. The client had a code name. We called him Client J. He had a very long list of things he wanted. He needed everything to be perfect. He wanted to visit private vineyards that were not open to other people. He wanted to go on hikes at sunrise in beautiful, empty places. He needed an emergency Michelin star chef who could be ready to cook for him at any time. The work was very hard. I worked for 14 hours every day. I did not sleep much, but I loved it. I learned so many new things. I learned that a special kind of Spanish ham called jamón ibérico tastes different in October. It tastes like autumn and hazelnuts mixed together. I learned about a special hotel in a city called Santiago. The hotel is called a Parador. It has a view of a big cathedral. I learned there are exactly 13 rooms with that perfect view. I called and booked 12 of them for our client. I was very good at this job. Every afternoon, Mr. Green would come to my desk. He would roll his chair over from his office. He would say, "Walk me through the logistics." That meant he wanted me to tell him all the details of the plan. He would pull his chair very close to mine. Our knees were so close they almost touched. When he sat that close, the air in the room felt different. It felt heavy and thick. It felt like the air right before a big thunderstorm. There was a tension between us. It felt exciting and a little bit scary. My friend Kate noticed all of this. She started a betting pool in the office. It was a joke, but maybe not. She and other coworkers were betting money on when Mr. Green would tell me he had feelings for me. Kate said, "I bet $5 he confesses his love during the Seville tapas tasting part of the plan." My stomach felt like it was doing cartwheels every time I thought about it. I was so nervous and excited. Because what if Kate was right? What if he did tell me he liked me? And what if I wanted him to? The thought was always in my head. I knew it was a bad idea. He was my boss. It was a walking, talking HR violation. It was against the rules. But I could not help how I felt. Every time he said my name, Anna, he said it in a soft and slow way. It made me feel special. And when he said my name like that, the line in my mind between my fantasy and my real future started to disappear. I started to believe that my dream could really come true. Section 4. The Summons. It was Friday. The clock on my computer said 4:47 p.m. I had just finished the big travel plan for Client J. It was 43 pages long. It was perfect. It had color codes for every activity. It had hyperlinks to every website. It was like a beautiful gift wrapped with a virtual bow. I took a deep breath and I clicked the send button on the email. The email went to Mr. Green. A moment later, my computer made a ding sound. I had a new email. I looked at the screen. The email was from him. From Michael, greenhorizonscapes.com. Subject, quick chat. The email was very short. The body of the email said, "Can you swing by before you head out? Door will be closed, just knock." My heart stopped. He had signed the email Michael, not Mr. Green. He had never used his first name with me before, Michael. My heart was in my throat. I felt like I could not breathe. The door will be closed. This was it. This was the moment. I stood up from my desk. My legs felt shaky. I walked to his office at the end of the hall. The walk felt very long, like I was walking for a mile. I reached his door. It was closed, just like he said. I lifted my hand and I knocked. My hand was trembling. I heard his voice from inside. "Come in." I turned the handle and opened the door. The sun was going down outside. The late afternoon sun was coming through the window blinds. It made long golden stripes of light across his office. Everything looked golden and beautiful. He was sitting at his desk. He pointed to the chair in front of his desk. He wanted me to sit down. He said, "Close the door, would you?" I closed the door behind me. The door made a soft click sound. The sound was very loud in the quiet room. The click sounded final. Now it was just the two of us, alone, in a room with a closed door. I sat down in the chair. I was holding my tote bag. I held onto the strap of the bag very tightly. It felt like a life raft. It was the only thing keeping me from floating away in my nervousness. He looked at me. His face was serious. He said, "Anna, I've been thinking about how to say this." How to say this? My brain was screaming. My thoughts were so loud. "Kiss me, you fool. Just say you love me and kiss me." I was ready. I was so sure it was going to happen. He did not move towards me. Instead, he opened a drawer in his desk. He pulled out a thin folder. It was a manila folder. He slid it across the desk and placed it in front of me. He put it down very carefully, as if it was very important or dangerous, as if it might explode. He looked at me again. He said, "Client J is not just a client. He is also a silent partner in this company. We are going to open a new office. We are opening an office in Madrid, Spain, and I want you to run it. Así." Section 5. The pivot. I just sat there. I blinked my eyes. I blinked them again. I tried to understand his words. Madrid? Run the office? Me? The words did not make any sense. My brain was still stuck on the other idea, the kiss, the confession of love. This was so different from what I expected. I thought I started to say. My voice was shaky and weak. I could feel my face getting hot and red. I was so embarrassed. I thought he was going to say something personal, and I was completely wrong. He tilted his head and looked at me with a confused expression. "You thought what?" he asked. What could I say? I could not tell him the truth. I could not say, "Oh, I thought you were about to declare your secret love for me. Push the desk out of the way and kiss me passionately." That was too embarrassing. So I just mumbled something. I said, I thought you had notes on the travel plan. I thought you were going to tell me what to fix." He smiled. It was that special half smile that I had been thinking about for weeks. The smile that had been making my heart race. He said, "The itinerary is flawless. It's perfect." Then he looked right at me and said it again. "You're flawless." There was that word again. Flawless. Perfect. But this time, it felt different. The meaning was changing. He did not wait for me to answer. He started talking quickly, explaining everything. He said, "I know that calling you perfect in that big meeting was not professional. I am sorry about that. I got carried away. This project, this new office in Spain, it has been my dream since I was in university. And watching you work on it, watching you plan everything so perfectly," he stopped talking and pushed the thin folder a little closer to me on the desk. "This folder has everything," he said. "The contracts are in here, the budgets for the new office, and this." He pointed to a small plastic card. "This is a key card for the new office building. The address is Calle de Serrano 57 in Madrid." He continued, "If you take this job, your salary will double. We will also pay for you to move to Spain, and you will get equity in the company. That means you will own a small part of it. Take the weekend to think about it. Read everything. If you say yes, we will tell the whole team on Monday." I could not speak. My tongue felt thick and dry, like sandpaper. I finally managed to ask a question. My voice was just a whisper. "Why me?" He looked at me kindly. "Because you are the kind of person who triple checks ferry schedules just for fun. You care about the small details, and because you told me something once. Do you remember? You told me that your happiest memory was when you were 16 years old, and you got lost in the city of Barcelona. You said it was a wonderful adventure. I want that feeling, that joy, in every trip we plan. You understand that feeling?" I looked down at the key card on the folder. It looked strange and foreign. I was afraid to touch it, like it might bite me. In that moment, the romantic comedy movie that had been playing inside my head suddenly changed. It was not a love story anymore. The genre flipped. It became a coming-of-age story. It was the story of a girl who gets the keys to her own life. Not the keys to a man's heart, but the keys to her own future. Section 6. The Conversation I Didn't Have. He stood up and moved to the window. He looked out at the city lights. He spoke with his back to me. "Anna, I need to be completely honest with you. I need to be transparent. All the praise I gave you, all the extra attention, I am worried that it came off as personal." My ears were on fire. I felt so embarrassed. I tried to act cool. I asked, "Did it?" though I had no idea what he was talking about. He turned around. He said very gently, "No, it was not personal. Not like that." He paused for a moment. "I'm gay, Anna. I have a partner. We have been happily together for 8 years. He continued, "My admiration for you is completely about your work. It is strictly business. You are incredibly talented. If I ever made you feel uncomfortable, or if I crossed a line, I am truly sorry." A huge wave of relief washed over me. It was like I had been holding my breath for weeks and I could finally breathe again. He wasn't in love with me. I wasn't crazy. It was all a misunderstanding. But right after the relief, I felt another feeling. It was a small, strange feeling of disappointment. I was not disappointed because he was unavailable. I was not sad that I could not be with him. I was disappointed because my fantasy was gone. The story I had created in my head was so beautiful. It was a fun escape from my real life. And now it was over. "It's okay," I said. My voice was small and squeaky. "It's really okay. I think I might have overinterpreted things." He laughed a little. It was a nice laugh. "It's an occupational hazard," he said. "It happens when you work with dreamers. We sell dreams and sometimes we get caught up in them." Section 7. Kate and the Parking Lot. I left his office a few minutes later. I felt dazed, like I was in a dream. I was clutching the folder to my chest. I held it tightly like it contained top-secret government information. When I got to the end of the hall, Kate was there. She was waiting by the elevators. She looked like she was vibrating with excitement. She couldn't stand still. "So?" she asked, her eyes wide. "What happened? Did he do it? Tell me everything." I couldn't form a full sentence. All I could say was, "He offered me Spain." Kate's mouth dropped open. Then she let out a loud shriek of excitement. Her shriek was so loud that it set off the alarm on her car in the parking lot below. We could hear it chirping. She grabbed my arm and yelled to our co-workers who were still in the office, "Pay up, people. I won the bet." But not the one I thought. We went down to the parking lot and got into her car. It was an old Honda Civic. The evening was getting cold, so she turned on the heat. It was lukewarm heat that slowly fogged up the windows of the car. We sat there in our own little bubble, and I just started talking. I told her everything. It was like word vomit. All the details came pouring out of me. I told her about the Madrid office, the doubled salary, the equity in the company. I told her about how impossible and crazy it all felt. When I was done, Kate was quiet for a minute. Then she said, "But wait a second. Did he explain the laser eyes? Did he explain why he was staring at you all the time?" I told her what he said. I told her he was gay and had a partner. Kate started laughing. She laughed so hard she leaned forward and accidentally honked the horn. The sound was loud in the quiet parking garage. "Oh my God, girl," she said, wiping a tear from her eye. "We owe an apology to Cosmopolitan magazine. We got the signs all wrong." Then she looked at me and her face got serious. She said, "Also, this is amazing. You're moving to Spain." I looked down at the folder in my lap. It felt heavy. "Am I?" I asked. I felt so unsure. Kate turned in her seat to face me. "Anna, listen to me," she said. "Think about when you started here 10 months ago. You were so shy. You were scared to send an email to the courier service. You made me check it for you. Now look at you. You can speak fluent rail map. You can plan a trip for a billionaire. You are not the same person you were back then." A lump formed in my throat. I felt scared. "But what if I fail?" I whispered. "What if I move all the way to Spain and am terrible at it?" Kate looked at me with a firm expression. "What if you stop assuming you will fail? What if for once you assume you will succeed?" Section 8. The Weekend of Panic. That whole weekend was a blur of panic and excitement. On Saturday, I stayed on my couch in my pajamas all day. I had my laptop open. I was Googling everything I could think of about Spain. My search history was crazy. It looked like this: health insurance in Spain for foreigners. How to say electrical adapter in Castilian Spanish. Do they have oat milk in Madrid? Cost of living in Madrid versus Denver. How to not look like a stupid American in Spain. I was completely overwhelmed. I called my mom. I started crying within 4 minutes of her saying hello. I told her everything. I told her about the job in Spain and how scared I was. My mom was very calm. She reminded me of a story from when I was 17 years old. I was packing for summer camp. I was so excited and nervous that I packed everything, but I forgot to pack any underwear. I was at camp for 2 weeks with no underwear, and I survived. She said, "You survived camp without underwear, sweetie. I think you can handle Madrid." Her silly story made me feel a little better. On Sunday, I knew I needed to get out of my apartment. I went to a bookstore. I went to the travel section and found the language aisle. I bought a tiny Spanish phrase book. It was small enough to fit in my pocket. I sat in a coffee shop near the bookstore. I ordered a coffee and I started reading the phrase book. I whispered the Spanish phrases to myself. Me encanta esta ciudad. It means I love this city. I said it over and over again, trying to make it sound natural. I felt silly. I sounded like a commercial for Taco Bell, but I kept practicing. That night, I stayed up late. I kept looking at the clock. I was thinking and thinking. My heart was beating fast. At 11:57 p.m., just 3 minutes before midnight, I made my decision. I opened my laptop. I found the email from Michael. I clicked reply. I typed my answer. Subject: Re. Quick chat body: yes. I took a deep breath and I hit send. Section 9. The announcement. Monday morning at the office was completely different. There was a feeling of celebration in the air. Michael had brought in donuts and bottles of cheap champagne. The whole team was crammed into the small break room. Everyone was talking and laughing, wondering what the big news was. Michael stood in the middle of the room and tapped a spoon against a champagne glass to get everyone's attention. The room got quiet. "Good morning, everyone," he said with a big smile. "I have some big news to share. Horizon Escapes is growing. We are expanding. We are opening our first international office in Madrid. And I am thrilled to announce that Anna will be moving to Spain to lead the new office as our Madrid director." The room exploded with applause. Everyone was clapping and cheering for me. Kate let out a loud whoop and gave me a huge hug. Someone got so excited that they spilled orange juice on my shoes. For the first time, everyone was looking at me. I was in the spotlight. But it did not feel scary. It did not feel like imposter syndrome, that feeling that you don't deserve your success. This time, it felt right. It felt like I had finally arrived at a place I was supposed to be. Section 10. The move. The next 6 weeks were a whirlwind. I had to pack up my entire life. I sold my furniture. I said goodbye to my friends and family. It was hard and sad, but also exciting. Finally, the day came. I was at the Adolfo Suarez Airport in Madrid. I had 2 giant suitcases and no Spanish SIM card for my phone. My heart was in my throat all over again. I was terrified and thrilled at the same time. My coworker from the Denver office, Sophia, had moved to Madrid a few months earlier. She met me at the airport. She was a lifesaver. She helped me get a taxi and took me to my new apartment. It was an attic apartment in an old, beautiful building. The floors were made of orange tiles. There was a bakery on the ground floor. Every morning, the smell of butter and fresh bread would wake me up. It was a wonderful smell. Of course, not everything was perfect. I had my first disaster in the first month. Client J's big group was in Spain. They had a tour booked for the famous Alhambra Palace, but they missed their scheduled time. One of the scooters they rented had broken down. The tickets were gone. The client was very upset. I panicked for a minute, but then I got to work. I called my contacts. I managed to get them new tickets for the next day. To make them happy, I also booked a private flamenco show for them as a surprise. I sent handwritten apology notes to each person in the group. It worked. They were so happy with how I handled the problem that they left a 30% tip and sent me a very expensive bottle of Rioja wine. After 4 months, my little Madrid office was growing. I had hired 4 new staff members to help me. We were so busy that we had a waiting list of clients for the next spring. I was learning so much. I learned how to argue with city officials in fast Spanish to get permits. I also learned that it was very important to taste test pastries from all the local bakeries. I told my staff it was for quality control, but really, I just loved the pastries. Section 11. The Return. 1 year after I moved to Madrid, Michael flew over for our quarterly review meetings. We had our last meeting at a beautiful rooftop bar. The sun was setting and the lights of the city were starting to turn on. The city looked like someone had spilled a bag of glittering gold coins across the dark hills. We sat with our drinks, looking out at the view. "You've built something beautiful here, Anna," he said. I smiled. "I only built what you believed I could build," I replied. We clinked our glasses together in a toast. The moment felt peaceful and complete. Later that night, as I was walking home through the lovely streets of Madrid, I had a thought. I realized I had not thought about that perfect comment in months. The word that had once consumed my every thought had lost all its power over me. It didn't feel charged with secret meaning anymore. It was just a word. I didn't need my boss or anyone else to call me perfect to feel like I was enough. I had proof of my own worth. I had the receipts. My receipts were the train timetables I had mastered, the happy emails from my clients, and the fact that the baristas at my local coffee shop knew my order and started making my coffee the second I walked in the door. Section 12. The Reflection. For a long time, I used to think that the only way to feel truly chosen and special was through romantic love. I thought I needed a partner to choose me, to see me, to make me feel whole. But I was wrong. I learned that professional faith, the feeling of someone believing in your abilities and trusting you with a big responsibility, is just as powerful. Someone handing you the keys to your own future is just as electric as a first kiss. And the good feeling from that, it lasts much longer. Michael never loved me, not in the way I thought he did, but he did see me. He saw my potential before I could see it in myself, and that, I realized, was the real love story. It was not a story about a girl and her boss falling in love. It was the story of a boss who believed his employee could be more than she was, and an employee who finally decided to believe it too. So, if you are reading this, and you are sitting in an open office somewhere, and your heart is racing because your manager said you are really good at making spreadsheets, my advice is this: maybe take a breath. Hit pause on the fantasy. Ask what they mean. People are not like movies with subtitles. You cannot always read what is between the lines. Sometimes, praise is just praise. But if that same person slides a folder across the desk, and inside that folder is your dream, new country, a bigger job, a chance to stop playing small and be the person you want to be, then you should say yes. Say yes before you can overthink it. Say yes before you talk yourself out of it. If you are waiting around for someone else to come along and call you perfect, try this instead. Go to a mirror, look at your own reflection, and say the word perfect to yourself. You might find that your own voice sounds better than you think. Thanks for listening to my almost love story. If you have ever completely misread a situation at work and felt embarrassed, please drop the cringe story in the comments below. I want to hear all the details.